So, everyone, my name is GenderMeowster. I use they, them pronouns. And I have a wonderful guest here today. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Would you like to introduce yourself with name and pronouns and like your Twitch handle or whatever else you'd like to share in an intro?
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Calamity. You can call me Cala, CD, because my full name's Calamity Darling. I guess I should have said that. I'm Calamity Darling on all the things. My pronouns are she, they. I already forgot what else I was supposed to say.
That's okay. That's totally okay. So you're a Twitch streamer, just like me,
Yes.
and you're awesome. So for those listening to the podcast later who can't see us, could you expound upon various identities? So for me, if I'm sharing a little bit about my diverse identities, I am autistic, I have ADHD, I am a non binary transmasculine person, I have an invisible disability in the form of chronic pain, and I am a white person with a fabulous Zoom beard filter on my face right now.
It's very fabulous. I love it.
I love it so much.
It's so good. Well then, yes, I am Black, autistic, ADHD, genderqueer because I am sort of just now exploring my gender identity. So right now I'm saying I'm genderqueer, but I think I am starting to lean more towards non-binary or demigirl. So that is where we kind of are now, but that is something that I am still exploring. So that is me. Oh, and I also forgot to mention I'm also a early career game developer. I forgot to mention that before.
Yeah, you're so cool.
Stop.
You're so cool. I love it so much.
Thanks.
Um, oh, so good. Okay, so I'm gonna do a shout out for you right now, even though there's a million shout outs happening in the chat probably. Oh my gosh, spelling.
Spelling
So
words.
what do you like to stream? What are some games that you like to stream? At least lately.
Lately, it's definitely been, I've been leaning more towards RPGs, MMOs, and narrative indies. I love a good indie game, but I also love those like high res, action packed, high fantasy games. I am playing through Mass Effect right now. That's been really cool. As a longtime fan of Dragon Age, that has been really cool to play for the first time. So yeah, anything that tells a good story, I'm into, whether it's AAA or indie. I love a good story.
So we say AAA, but is there like a double A or a single A, or is it just only AAA and indie?
Kind of, because the lines are getting really blurred nowadays. Because there's some indie games that are making ridiculous amounts of money. So then it's like, where do you really draw the line of like indie? So there's all these kind of like sub terms now, and I don't even know all of them when it comes to it. So usually when you think AAA, it's like Yay and Square Enix and stuff, and then more indie stuff like maybe Concerned Ape, who made Stardew Valley, and Soft Not Weak, who made Spirit Swap or is making Spirit Swap. So yeah.
Nice. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for all the things we're about to talk about. So in your little intro, you alluded that your gender might be blossoming or hatching or something.
Yes.
Congratulations! I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited
Thank
for
you.
you. Is there anything about that in particular that you would like to share with us? I know that a lot of my audience tends to be trans, non-binary, or wanting to learn more about gender. So that's usually a place that I like to start. I also know it's sort of a tender new thing for you. So if it's like you don't want to talk about it too much, that's also okay. Just want to give you
Yeah.
the opportunity.
No, yeah, that's totally fine. I haven't made like some big coming out announcement because and I honestly don't know if I ever will. It is something that I am exploring. Actually, I was in a room with Bubbo Chet, who is a fantastic TTRPG player and streamer, and we were just kind of like talking about gender in general, and they mentioned something about they'd never considered it before, and that's what made them start thinking about it. So I was like, oh, interesting. So I kind of started thinking it from there. And I think where I am, if I had to give a general consensus of like where I feel like I am, it's that I was born female, raised female. Do I feel female? I don't really feel gender. Does that make sense? Does that words?
Yeah,
I do not feel
yeah, yeah,
really gender, but I guess I enjoy presenting feminine.
yeah.
That's kind of where I am.
Sure, sure, sure.
So yeah, yeah, that's where I kind of am now.
You know, there's a fair number of people who are autistic and think gender is just silly.
Yeah,
So the fact that
like
you're autistic and like starting to question gender things, it's like, of course you are. Like that's like, I don't know. I see it a lot. I see it a lot. There's a lot of people in my community who are both neurodiverse in some way and some sort of gender something. Like it's
mhm,
there's a high comorbidity, if you will.
mhm. There definitely is, which is fascinating because I am self-diagnosed with autism because unfortunately access to official diagnosis is not accessible to everyone.
Super
Um,
gatekeeped, super expensive. Not enough
super
people who are trained in it.
gatekept. Yeah,
If you're looking for a job that will help people, make buckets of money, it's doing those assessments. You have to do so much school to do it, but that's
hmm
a whole thing. Yeah.
That's it's a whole thing. But it's funny because every time I doubt myself, I check something else off the box. I'm like, oh dang it. Oh dang it, I have that too. So it's been an adventure, but it's been cool.
Yeah. We like to joke in my community that we're all about like hatching eggs. Like we've joked about renaming it to like Meowster's Hatchery instead of Meowster's Clouder.
Oh, wait, I love
Like
that too.
it's so great. So Clouder is a gathering of cats. We actually have a command for it, I think, because people are like, "What the heck is a Clouder?" And it's like it's a group of cats because we're big nerds.
I love that
I love it so much.
so much.
It's so good.
Going to be Googling Clouder for the rest of the day. Don't mind me. Just going to be looking at groups of cats.
I love it. Um, oh, I love it so much. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. So yeah, even last night, my friend, one of my friends, was their little autistic egg was hatching. Like they were
Oh,
like hanging out and like reading all these things and telling me all about it. Like, oh, like this. I'm everything on this list because they were looking at like the more traditional, whatever that means. The like male autism stuff. They're like, I don't have any of that. And I was like, have you Googled female autism? Because those are two very separate sets of things. Because when you're socialized female, there's a ton of masking you pile on top of autistic stuff, and so when my friend was looking through the female autism stuff, she was like, every single one of these is me. And I was like, yeah, this is why it's hard to make friends with neurotypicals because you're not neurotypical.
you're just not,
You're just
which is
not.
such, it's like relieving and also like heartbreaking all at once to have that
Totally.
realization. It's very, I don't know, the feelings are very diverse. I don't know, I'm thinking of a word, opposite. There's a
Yeah.
fancier word for opposite.
Bittersweet. Many
Yes,
things.
definitely.
Yes, that is why it's hard to make friends. My friend in the chat who's asking that question. Yes, it's,
Oh my
the other
God.
thing is though, like, autistic people tend to get along with each other, which is why like having that like diversity and having communities that are explicitly for diverse identities is so important because we get along and we get each other in a way that like you just wouldn't otherwise.
hmm
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
I actually have a friend who I recently told I was autistic. And we were talking later that night. She got like really emotional. She's like, I've been like looking at the stuff you've been posting and I'm starting to see myself, and it's been amazing. And I'm like, that's why we've been friends for like, oh my gosh, like 15 years.
Oh, I love
She's
that
one of my
so
best
much.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I love it so much. Well, that's why like I started the like Solidarity Resources channel because we have like
hmm
all the insiders, right? We have all the autistic people talking to the autistic people, but then the general chat can't see that. But there's actually a bunch of eggs in general chat who just don't realize what they are yet.
Just don't
And
know.
so then we just like we'll just pitch like the greatest hits to the Solidarity Resources in Discord so everyone can see just like here's the best piece of information instead of all the other BS whatever chatter we've got going on too, which is
Yes.
fun. It's fun to have the other chatter too, but you know when you're bib egg, you don't want too much information and your brain gets overwhelmed, especially if you have processing stuff.
For sure. For sure.
Anyways, oh, it's so good. Oh my gosh, I'm grinning so hard my cheeks are starting
Yeah,
to
I
hurt.
know. Me
This is so much fun. I'm having so much fun talking to you. Okay.
too.
So we talked about gender. Let's do a fluffy question. Do you
Yes,
speak
please.
programming languages? You said you do coding
I
game stuff. What does tell me more? What is that about?
Yeah, so I actually started off before I got into games. I was actually earning a degree in computer programming and software development. And
Nice.
then I was like, this is fine, I guess. But then I realized software development. Wait, can't that be games? Games are software. And then it just sort of like diverted into that. So I know a little bit of like web coding because that's what I did first, like PHP, HTML, some JavaScript, CSS, and now I'm more into like C sharp, though I haven't been practicing it as much. Currently, I'm working more as a narrative designer and a producer, so I
Mm,
haven't been into the code as much.
yeah,
But C sharp is probably my strongest thing right now because that's what Unity uses, and I build most stuff in Unity.
that's rad. Cool. So C sharp is so I'm not a software engineer at all, but my wife is, and so I hear her talk about it. Is C sharp the Microsoft specific language? Or is that C plus plus or some other has a C in it?
Trying to remember, I believe so.
Okay.
I think that's the one. I'm trying to like go back to like my like dev history that we learned at the beginning of my program, but I think that is the one that's Microsoft. It basically like took I think Java and was like that's better
Nice.
for Microsoft. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
So
pretty sure.
so you're like in a programming thing, right? You're like in a program or something.
Mhm.
What are you doing? What is that?
Yeah, so I was accepted into Code Coven summer program with Facebook Gaming, which has been very, very cool. Code Coven is an organization in the UK that is working really hard to bring marginalized genders and identities into the gaming space. So they are incredible, and they have a summer program. They've been working with Facebook Gaming, who's honestly just been so awesome. They've been so great at getting us resources and all this stuff. But yeah, so it's an 11-week course where we're paired off into teams. And within those teams, we have to build a game in an 11-week course. We have certain deliverables and deadlines that we have to meet. Um, we're expected to work 30 hours a week. So we are given support to work during that time, which is absolutely incredible. They want us to be able to dedicate that time to it. So that's just one of the programs that they have. They have others and they're starting to build more as they grow. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I'm a producer and developer for Team Mundane Magic, and it's been absolutely amazing. My team is literally from all over the world. Like one's from Pakistan, one's from Brazil. I think the other's in Europe. Like they're literally from all over the world. And it's been wild and it's been lovely.
That's so great. I also love that you said wild right there, which is an example of using language that isn't casually oppressive.
Yeah. Though somebody
Hey,
had once told me that it might be, which I was like, oh,
that
dang
wild might
it.
be.
Yeah. But it was kind of like wishy washy. I don't know. I don't know. Because that was my go to. So even when I said it just now, I was like, oh, crap.
Interesting. I will have to look more into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just posted a thing in the chat about avoiding ableist language, which I think
Mm-hmm.
I like to expand that out from just ableist to casually oppressive because it turns out a lot of idioms are racist. Like a lot of idioms, like a lot of them. I basically just have tried to stop using idioms and just be direct with what I'm saying and
Yeah.
not use like colloquial whatever the heck because it's like ooh yeah it's a whole time.
It's not great. It's just like how ingrained it is to the point where we don't even know the origins and then we learn they're horrible. Mm.
But it's a great thing to work on.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, and I feel like well, at least for me, I think I'm never going to do it perfectly, but I really believe strongly in the phrase like progress not perfection, like
Mm-hmm.
making progress on something. And that for me, like I can get so perfectionist in my head and like, oh, I got to do it perfect, I got to be like perfectly decolonized, and it's just that's not possible. We got to work on
No.
it. Working on it is better than nothing, right? So
Yes. Because there's too
yeah.
many people out there who are like, it's too hard, don't care, and move on being not so great. So
Yeah.
I like that. Progress, not perfection. Write that
Okay.
on a sticky note.
Ooh, do it. It's a great slogan. I love it so much. Okay, simple question that I feel like all of us could answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Why is diversity important?
Gosh, you say simple. There's just so many answers. Diversity is important because I guess to start, I'll set an example of there's a game coming out by Square Enix called Forspoken.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'll give an even more recent example. There's a game coming out, I forget who by, but it's called Redfall, and it's like a sci-fi fantasy action horror, sort of like Back for Blood, Back for Blood, yeah, and like Left for Dead, where you team up with people. Literally, everyone in it is a person of color, and when I tell you, like, and like the first person you saw was this like Black woman with just this curly giant afro, and the amount of joy that I got seeing that. And then to go on social media and see so many people on like Black Twitter and just like BIPOC Twitter in general, just being so excited. Diversity is so important because we not only want to see ourselves represented in them, it also helps us understand our own identities. It helps us feel validated in our identities. It helps us just realize that we can be so many things, you know, like Nathan Drake gets to jump off of rocks and into rivers and stuff. It's so I guess that's why, I mean, that's just one example of maybe why cis white men feel like they can do anything. Like imagine that power for marginalized genders and communities. Imagine us being able to see ourselves in these incredible situations and believing in our own strength and power. It's, I ramble, but it's important for so many different reasons.
Totally. When I was playing through Spiritfarer, I loved getting to be Stella and jump all over the place. Like just the jumping and flying and the acrobaticness of it was like, this is so fun being able-bodied.
Yes, it's like I just get to like.
Can you think of any video games with a non-binary main character? Like playable character is non-binary.
I looked and let me just double check my list. I don't think I found any that were playable. No. Well, yes. Bloodhound from Apex is confirmed to be non-binary. The devs have even confirmed that, but that's it. That's it.
Yeah. There's not much. And actually, part of why I started this talk show is because I wanted more non-binary representation in the world. And I wanted to talk to gender wonderful beings. And actually, when I scheduled you, at the time you were using she, her pronouns, and I was like, you're like one of the few people that I'm going to make an exception for, like gender wonderful somebody, because you're so cool and you have all these other diverse identities. And I was like, I want to talk to you about all this stuff. And then your egg hatched while I wasn't looking.
It kind of did.
It's so awesome. I love it so much. I think the only cis person that's been on the show is my mom. Because we talked about what it was like growing up with me, and I was still on the show, so you know we still had a genderful being.
There you go.
Yeah,
works out.
It was so great. My mom is actually in the chat. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, so yeah, so let's see. Next question is sort of expanding on some of the things you've already been sharing, which is, can you share some positive BIPOC, neurodivergent, disabled, and trans and non-binary representation in gaming? And if you wanted to go like one identity by one so that you don't get lost, that's totally fine. And I will try to take notes while you share words.
Yeah, for sure. And I had to take my own notes just because unfortunately it's not like, oh, name like white men in gaming and I can be like, oh, cool, like Nathan Drake, draw, like I can just go off about that. So unfortunately I did have to do my research and be reminded of some things. But the representation isn't perfect, and over time it has become better, but we're just now, especially when it comes to like BIPOC and Black, especially characters in games. We're just now starting to see cis. So seeing like non-binary trans, we're getting there. But one of my favorites of all time is Krem from Dragon Age Inquisition. Cremisius Aklas, who is a confirmed trans character, and you get to speak to him about his story. He talks about using a binder. Like, it's just a beautiful thing. And he's part of this like ragtag group of characters, or mercenaries rather, and they're just so accepting. And just to see like this, and the leader of it is like this like hyper masculine character. So to see them just be so accepting, it's just a beautiful thing. Like, it's hard to describe, but that's one of my personal favorites in a game that I have played, who is a confirmed trans character. I'm sure a lot of you know about Celeste. Madeline is trans as well. A lot of people talk about Birdo. Birdo, yes, is confirmed trans. How she was talked about when she was created was not great. But I've heard they're trying to change the language around that. So that's kind of nice. And just that representation in general is really good. And then when it comes to trans, those are kind of like the notes that I had. Non-binary, I talked about Bloodhound. Chaos from Hades is confirmed non-binary. As is, Vivek is intersex, actually. From Elder Scrolls Online. They're one of the first characters that you meet in one of the first missions that you do. They're confirmed intersex, which is super cool. And there's some games coming up. I don't know if we want to talk about those now, but there's some games that are starting to come out, or like some indie titles that do have some wonderful representation, but we can talk about that now or later or whatever.
If you have the list handy and you just want to spit them out, I'm happy to type them down.
Listen, I got you.
Also, thanks for doing all this research for us. That's so cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love research. I love it so much. Yeah, because I know that was a question we were gonna kind of talk about later, is like some queer games to look out for. One of the ones that I played most recently, there is a content warning for like horror and gore. There is like kind of disturbing imagery, but it's Scarlet Hollow. You get to choose your pronouns, which is incredible. And there are also non-binary characters in the world that you get to interact with, which is absolutely amazing. And it is like a visual novel mystery horror situation. The second episode just got released last month, I believe. Love that game. Love that game so much. I even played it again for research in my own visual novel. Because the storytelling in it is just beautiful. And then paired with the beautiful music and artwork, it's so good. So definitely look for Scarlet Hollow if you're into that sort of thing. If you like something a little lighter, Shikari is how I think it's pronounced. But Shikari is non-binary. Their gender is never like specified. And I think even the developers confirmed them non-binary. Adorable game. It's a coloring book game that you use to solve puzzles in it. It's so cute. You play as a non-binary dog with a paintbrush who just wants to be like an amazing magic painter when they grow up, and it's the cutest heckin' game. I actually just played it a few months ago, and I just released that playthrough. So that is another one that I love. Spirit Swap has non-binary, trans, and just queer in general representation. That is like a sci-fi visual novel mystery where you get to play as two different characters, and the characters you get to interact with are just a beautiful rainbow of identities, and it's wonderful. I am going off. I am so sorry.
No, it's great. I love all
I am
of
just
this.
going on. Spirit
so
Swap is a match 3 game that I had the pleasure of playing the demo of. I think the demo is still available. Y'all, Spirit Swap is going to be so good. It's beautiful. Soft Not Weak Games is creating it, and they crushed their Kickstarter. It's so much fun. It's so cute. All the characters are hot. It's beautiful. It's just such a good time. So I'm really looking forward to Spirit Swap. Make sure you're following them, support them, because that's going to be just an incredible game. And I'm not even really into match 3s, but I'm going to get good at them purely so I can play that game. And then We Are OFK, which was actually talked about during Wholesome Game Showcase during E3. That is they have queer gender representation in that game as well. There's not a whole lot out about it, but you did see some kind of previews of it in the trailer, which is very cool. So I'm going to pause talking for a second because I just went off. I'm sorry.
It's so good. It's so good. I love the info dump so hard. Also, you just said the phrase Wholesome Direct Showcase. And where is the best place to watch that if we wanted to see more? Because Wholesome Comfy Cozy Games is like what we groove on in my community, at least. And so I love it. I always love seeing what's coming up soon.
Yeah, definitely. So they have a YouTube channel, and that's where they usually stream any kind of like directs or anything that they do. So that's I think it's Wholesome Games is the name of the.
Want to collaborate with these?
Yes, Wholesome Games is the name of the YouTube channel. But they are always talking about some just wholesome, inclusive indie games that just the world needs to know about. Absolutely love them. Yeah, they're really awesome. Honestly, they were my favorite part of E3. Absolutely, like hands down, my favorite part of E3. They had like the most diversity, the most like, it's just so good.
Everyone is like so excited about all the cool stuff you just told us about.
Yay! Please check out these games. Please support indie developers. They're out here. Unfortunately, it's the indie developers that are out here doing the good work when it comes to diversity. And the way that we can make diversity in games better is by having more diverse creators. So if you have any interest in games, talk to me. I want to help you.
What's the best way for us to talk to you about our interest in games? Like if we at you in the video games chat in my Discord, will you come chat with us?
Yes. Yes, I will. Hello. Yes, I would love that. You can also just DM me. My DMs are fairly open, but yeah, DM me on Twitter. I would love to talk to you about games and just if you want like suggestions, ways to get into gaming, ways to get into coding, ways to find out what it is in games. There's so many different things in the gaming industry that you can do. And every single part of it needs that representation because unfortunately, especially when I grew up, a lot of games were catered towards cis white men, and that's not the only people who play games at all.
It's true. There's a lot of us out here doing fun, cool stuff.
Heck yeah.
I love it. Yeah, the chat is being so nice right now. It's so nice.
Oh, yay!
Y'all. Everyone's so excited. So just very quickly copy pasted the two lists, the trans and non-binary representation in current games and what's coming up soon, and posted all of that along with the Wholesome Games YouTube channel into the video games general chat in the Discord server. It'll also be in the show notes. So for the person who asked, can we get a list of all those games? I also just plunked walls of text into the Twitch chat. Yeet. So hopefully that's enough places to get that information. I love it. Okay. Is there any other representation you want to talk about for BIPOC, neurodivergent, or disabled people in games? You maybe didn't have as much time to make those lists, so it's sort of springing it on you.
Yeah, that's totally fair. When it comes to BIPOC representation, kind of as I mentioned before, it's getting better. What you're seeing nowadays is a lot more games that have like a choose your own character. They have more diverse skin types and just like facial features, which is really cool. But something like Forspoken, which I was going to mention before, but that is a game that EA is coming out with, and it's a Black girl in a fantasy setting. Like I saw a Black girl in sneakers and a dragon and I started weeping. It was the most beautiful, most cool thing ever. But like that, where you like are forced to play from the perspective of a character like that, and then their identity is not like the whole point of the story, it's just that they happen to be a Black character. Amazing. There's so many games coming out, especially in the indie space, but to see Square Enix coming out with something like that was very cool. Very cool.
I remember how I felt when I saw Microsoft Xbox Studio people make Tell Me Why, which has a trans man as the main character with trans man voice acting. And it's about, the thing is that particular games, like story trajectory is very much focused on trauma, which is like, can we get away from queer trauma? Can we have queer joy? I just want queer
Yes.
joy. Can we just like, can trans people and people of color like have nice lives in games and it's not all trauma and oppression for fuck's sake?
Yeah. No, seriously. Like, can we, and that's one of my goals when it comes to game development. Recently, or back when I was doing the spring program with Code Coven, my team and I created a visual novel where the characters were queer and BIPOC, and like that was nothing, like none of that was talked about. It was just about these two people going on a date and the main character trying not to turn into a were-Pomeranian in front of them.
Oh my god, that's adorable.
Yeah, it's called Pomsiety if you ever want to check it out. It's on Itch. I guess I can get you the, should I get the link?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like a, yeah, Pomsiety. It's not like a completed game. It was more of a demo that we created in 2 weeks, but if you just want to check it out, it's cute. It's a good time. Yeah, when it comes to neurodivergent and disabled accessibility, there's somebody that I'm thinking of recently that I saw in a game who was disabled. And I'm trying to think of what character it was. But Symmetra from Overwatch is confirmed autistic. Somebody actually pointed it out in some of her backstory that she had certain comments that made the person go, wait a second, that seems like a lot of autistic traits. And the developers did confirm that she is in fact autistic, which I love because I love playing her, even though I'm trash at the game.
Tell me the name of the game again.
Overwatch.
Oh, okay. Overwatch. Yeah, that's a very popular one. What's the character who's autistic?
Symmetra?
Symmetra. All right. I don't know if I spelled that right, but I wrote it down.
2 M's, but yeah.
Sweet. There we
like
go.
Symmetry. But
That makes sense.
Yeah. She's awesome. I love her. Yeah, and it's not like a giant plot point. It's not like, oh, her life is terrible. Like she's an awesome scientist and creates portals, and it's just cool. It's just cool.
So this Pomsiety thing, you made the game?
Yeah, so a team and I worked on the narrative design. Yeah, I worked on the narrative design for it, and the script. I will say it is not exactly neurodivergent friendly because there is time choices. That was, I lost that fight, but it's okay. It's still really cute.
You know what game is actually really autism friendly? Pokemon.
Really?
Yeah, because there aren't time choices. When you're in your little Pokemon battles, you can take as long as you want to pick things.
Ooh.
And I think, maybe this is hearsay, but I think I heard that one of the devs, or part of the reason they made the game or the games the way that they have, is because they wanted to be accessible to autistic people and people who are, you know, slower with the controls. It's like a great way to learn how to use a Game Boy or a Nintendo Switch or whatever, is because there's story and you go on adventure, but you don't have to be fast. There's no dexterity requirements to play Pokemon. And I think, you know, one way that we can make video games more accessible to neurodivergent people is having those features. So, and yeah, one of, sort of on the topic of neurodivergent and disabled things, and I'm sure we'll continue to dig more into this, is like, I have loved playing games on like the easiest mode that is available. Like I'm lucky to have a PlayStation 5, lucky me. And I've been playing Ratchet and Clank, the Rift Apart game, and like the triggers and all the stuff is super cool, and it's like, I love it. I play it every Thursday, so if you're ever bored, you're so busy, I don't know how you could possibly be bored, but if you're ever bored, you want to swing by on a Thursday, we're playing Ratchet and Clank right now. But I love that there's like the super duper easy setting, and it's set up so that, you know, you don't die. Like, you can never run out of hit points. And so for me, it's like, you know, I'm more interested in the story and exploring the map, and like, you know, it still feels like a very, as Stephanie in our community, Stephanie90 says, it's a very high octane experience still. It still feels very like fast paced and intense. But I don't feel
Yeah.
like my lack of dexterity with the controls, especially as a variety streamer who plays so many different games a week, I forget the controls all the time. The first 30 minutes of any video game stream is me being, what are the buttons again? Like, it's just like,
Yes.
I can't. And it doesn't matter how much muscle memory I have in a game. You know, I can be 600 hours into Breath of the Wild, and I still, if I play something else for a month and then come back, I forget all the buttons for a while. And it's how it is. So
That is
having
such a
those easy settings is like so important for me as an accessibility feature. So
Yes. Can I actually give two more
oh yeah.
just recommendations? Because accessibility in games is something I care a lot about.
Yeah.
So I always look in the first thing I do when I try out any like indie game, especially, or just any game, is I look into the settings and see if they have an accessibility menu or just accessibility options in general. Two that really surprised me and I was so happy about. One of them is called Lacuna. There are content warnings because it is a murder mystery, so you are dealing with that. But it's a gorgeous pixel art game with one of the most beautiful soundtracks I've ever heard in my entire life. Like I had a stim moment on what's it called, on stream when I was playing it, because like the music swell that happened at one point was so overwhelming. I like stopped talking and I like kind of like started like moving. I don't even remember exactly what I did, but I had like a stim moment. Anyway, it's called Lacuna. It's beautiful, but they have timed options available, but you can turn them off. They also have an entire, because you have to like learn a bunch of information, and it actually has a reference where you can go back and look at conversations you've had, look at information that you've learned before. So if you're not used to those types of games, it's really accessible. And if you aren't the most dexterous,
Sure.
dexterous,
if you
thank
don't
you.
have the most dexterity, if you're not
If
the
your
most
thumbs
dexterous.
aren't the most fast. But yeah, it's really accessible in that way. And another one is Going Under, which is cool because I find a lot of like dungeon crawler games inaccessible. That one is really cool because it's bright, which you don't see in a lot of dungeon crawlers.
Right.
And it's all about an intern who is like has to basically like go to these failed corporations and fight her way through them. That one also has some queer representation, which is pretty cool. The main character is not particularly straight, and I love that. But yeah, that one's cool because it has accessibility options not only for like disabilities, but also if you're not used to that type of game and want to learn, which
cool.
which I love. It's not gatekeepy. I love it. So many dungeon crawlers are gatekeepy. Okay, I'm done ranting. I'm sorry. I get excited about games.
I literally invited you on my show to talk about your special interest, and we're both autistic. Nothing is happening that I didn't expect. You're not doing anything wrong. You're doing everything right. I love it so much.
Okay, cool.
I'm just trying to take notes, and that's why there's lulls in the conversation.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's so great. And yes, happy Non-Binary Awareness Week to everyone. Thank you for the cheer, friend. Yay. Okay. Are there other representation for neurodivergent and disabled folks that you would like to mention before we continue talking about accessibility features and things?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot, and it's not often called out, even if it is there, or it's represented incorrectly.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure I gave a lot of like more positive ones, because
totally.
Unfortunately, marginalized genders and identities are othered, and other tends to be the villain, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Or
There's
a gag.
So many conversations in like queer tabletop about how like why are the queer characters always villains in all the media, and could we get something else, please? Yeah.
Please. Thank you. So yeah, that's really all I had from just my research. I'm sure if you like did a deep dive, you could find even more. But it's obviously not the norm. It's not highlighted enough, and there needs to be more. There just needs to be more.
So I'll add that have you ever heard of the game Night in the Woods?
Yes.
Okay, so at some point in the next week or two, I'm gonna be taking a whole week where that's all I play, because it's my stream anniversary. We're coming up on 1 year of me being a streamer, And I don't exactly, it
my
might actually be like
gosh.
today or this week or yesterday or next week. I don't know when. There's like a lot of things. And then my actual birthday is like the beginning of next month. So there's a lot kind of packed into this like
Ooh.
second half of July, early August time. But yeah, so my stream anniversary is coming up and I wanted to celebrate it by playing the first game I ever streamed all the way through. Which is Night in the Woods. And so there's two sort of, well, there's many tracks you can take, but there's two sort of main narrative tracks. You can sort of befriend Greg, who is a gay wolf who's like dating a bear, and it's super cute, and you get into shenaniganery. And I actually brought back the follow as a follow emote because we have access to the beta follow emotes here. The ruckus emote, which we spam whenever I jump on the trash cans in the game because it's fun. It's fun to jump on trash cans. So it's one of our first emotes ever that sort of got retired when we got more other emotes later. But I brought back Ruckus for the stream anniversary, so I'm preparing for it. And so the other sort of storyline, you befriend I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. I can see her face in my head. She's like this crocodile chick who smokes an e-cigarette. And where's B? Yeah, B. And so the other character is B, and I've heard rumor that at some point in the B narrative you meet like a trans character, like a trans woman character, and I have no idea who it is. I haven't gotten that far, so I'm like excited to do it again and like go be with B. So we've got the gay character over here. Now there's a trans character somewhere over here. So I'm gonna go explore that one of these weeks as my like stream anniversary week thing that we're doing.
I've heard so many good things about that game. I'm so excited for you to play it and
Me
like all the
too.
way through.
I love it. Well, and I like the whole Let's Play of my first run is on YouTube. It's like one of the first playlists I ever made on my GenderMeowster channel. It's so fun. But I'm really excited to return to it. And I haven't asked my friend yet, but my friend who read some of the character voices, I wonder if my friend would be willing to hang out and voice chat and read with me again this time a year later. That'd be really sweet and fun. So it was one of the sweetest games I ever played, but I had almost no viewers because I was just starting out. And so it's like there's this great game that people haven't experienced with me. Maybe they've experienced it other places. So anyways, that was a lot of talking I just did, but that's okay.
No, that's fine. That's okay. It's a talk show.
Love it. It is. It's literally a talk show. This is so fun. Silent. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Trans Owl would like to know if you're familiar with Soul Calibur, and Trans Owl says because I play trans-colored Neko Cat. Ooh.
Wait. I haven't played a Soul Calibur since GameCube. I am not familiar with that character. Can I Google?
You can Google.
Curiosity peaked. Okay.
Yeah. So Trans Owl is a lovely being in our community. Person of color, neurodivergent, or neuro wonderful, if you will. Gender wonderful of some flavor and variety. Sort of on the more fluid spectrum. And had, in my opinion, some of the best looks at our Pride party we had in the Discord server. So,
oh my gosh,
such a sweet bean. It tears it up in the selfie channels. If you're ever looking for cute selfies to enjoy, the selfie channel is full of wonderful things, and you can enjoy all the gender wonderful beans.
Anyone who can take good selfies, I'm just jealous, and I think that's lovely. I am not a selfie taker. I wish I was good at it. Oh my gosh.
Trans Owl's been in the community for a long time too. It's great.
What's the character's name?
Awesome Chips is offering to tell us, but I don't want to know because I don't want to spoil it. Oh, for the Soul Calibur? I don't know.
Yeah.
Clarification, you can create your own characters in the game. Says Mirror Me.
Which Soul Calibur?
Soul Calibur, let's see. It was Soul Calibur 4. Says Transo in the chat. Yeah.
It's on my already too long list.
Awesome. Okay. So accessibility features that are awesome. So we've got turning timed options on and off. We've got like notes that save information. I love when games have reminders. Again, even just as a variety streamer, it's like if I haven't played this in a week or two, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, when the ADHD hyperfixation turns on, sometimes I don't need that, but in all other cases, I totally do. So I love when that's a thing. And I love that you brought up the brightness. Like I've been playing a little bit of Subnautica. I'm really bad at it. and also I'm scared of big things in the ocean, so I'm really extra bad at it because of fear.
Yes.
But I had to turn the brightness on my thing up way a lot. And part of that is just because it's hard to see and differentiate what the shapes are. But also I have all these lights shining on my face all the time. Like I need it to be brighter because I have my stream light set up.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Oh gosh, I never even thought of that.
Yeah. Just the sheer volume of light pouring into my eyes is a lot. Whenever I quit streaming, I just turn all the lights off and I sit in the dark and it's peaceful and wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, so I have like one light on downstairs. It'll just like sit next to my dog and just like hold a cup of something and just be like
just
decompress.
Decompress from all the inputs all the time.
Just let it
totally. Yeah, my wife has gotten accustomed to me asking for almost all the lights being off in the house 90% of the time. Yeah.
It's just so nice.
You know, I'm lucky though because she's also autistic, so she gets it. She gets the sensory input thing because she has the exact same thing. And that gets back to like the whole like it's important to be friends with like autistic people. It's also important to like date people whose brains are similar to yours because then you just get each other and you don't have all that conflict. Ooh.
Right?
Totally.
A concept.
Okay.
Yeah, my partner. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, actually, I learned about my autism because my partner, who is cis white male, was exploring his. And I started looking more into his. And then I started coming across how femmes and like females presented. And then I was like, oh. And honestly, that's how I learned about mine. So we both unknowing, both not knowing we were autistic, gravitated toward each other, got married, then figured out we're both autistic.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Hatchpat.
Cute.
He's working. He can't be here.
It's okay. There'll be VODs later.
Yes.
I'm doing the cat love emote. This one is for your partner.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Love.
It's a calico cat hugging a non-binary heart, which is basically my cat and every kitty hugging a non-binary heart. It's so cute.
I love that your cat is everywhere. It makes me so happy.
I mean, I would say cats are my special interest, but really it's this cat specifically is my special interest. I took her on a walk in the woods the other day, and there was a sign that said "No pets." But I didn't know until after we got there, and I was like, I'm not leaving this cat in the car. So I held her in my arms the whole time so she couldn't murder anything. But there were, like, so many birds and, like, small rodents. I had no idea there were that many, like, animals in the woods. Anyway, she had a great time and has wanted to go back outside ever since because she wants to go eat all the little things.
Oh, well, yeah. Bless her.
At least she's napping right now. She's so cute. Ooh. I love her. Calicos are so cool. Speaking of calicos, there's a video game called Calico.
Yes.
And there's a non-binary character in it. Their name is Ash. When I found it the other day, I was like, this is great.
Oh my gosh. Because I played that a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe they updated it. I don't know. But like in character creation, like there's no gender. There's like body shapes and colors and things. So I'm like a purple curvy person. But I think in one of the recent patches, they added beards. Because it kind of seemed like everyone was AFAB, assigned female at birth in the game, it seems like. So, you know, I'm like AFAB person, but now I also have beards. So I'm like, hey, this person looks more similar to me, even though they have purple skin, because I think that's fun, than like any other character in any video game. Because whenever I play, you know, a dude character, they're always like fit and don't have curves and whatever. So it's like, oh, I get to be like a curvy bearded guy. This is rad. I love this.
Oh my
love
gosh.
this for me.
Love that.
It's so cute and fun.
I've been seeing so many more creators that have beards in like every option. And it just makes me so happy. Yeah.
Yep. It's so good. Yeah, Calico is super fun.
It's cute.
Are there here's a question I didn't prepare you for. Are there any games that have, I don't know if I'm going to say this weird, so please excuse me if I say it weird. Are there games that have, like, Black culture? So, like, Kwanzaa, or, like the African-American experience is part of the narrative, where people can learn about that experience by playing the game. Like, I know there have been games where you learn about cultures in other settings. Like, even Tell Me Why, you learn about the indigenous culture in Alaska by playing through, and they had like elders in that community consulting with the game devs and the story creator people. You know, does that exist for like BIPOC in America people? I don't know. It probably should.
But I did a talk a couple weeks ago. It was a Juneteenth talk. And I was with my friend Pizza Yeti, and we were doing some research for it. And I just looked up, because it was more specifically about women and femmes in gaming, or Black women and femmes in gaming. And I looked up just Black femmes in games. I just Googled Black femmes in games. Yep. And what was terrible is a lot of them are voiced by white women, first of all.
Yikes.
I think even like just a few years ago, mostly voiced by white women, which I could get into why that is. I know exactly why it is, and it's just unfortunate. It's, to put it simply, it's more palpable. Yeah. But not really. Not really. We are seeing a lot more representation in games. There is like Hair Na, which is, I think it's web-based, but it's basically a game where there is a Black woman with like different hairstyles, and she's slapping people away from touching her hair. That is like the only thing I can think of. Created by a Black woman, and it's a hilarious, and like it's sort of, it's dry humored, you know, because the experience all too well. But it's also funny because you're doing exactly what you wish you could do in real life, which is just smack people's hands away.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you're aggressive. But that's the only one that I've played and can think of immediately. Unfortunately, I don't think there are really games that go into the Black experience. There was a game, and I don't know if anyone saw this, that came out on Steam, and I didn't follow up, and I don't know what happened to it, but it was a choices game, and content warning for like police brutality and such. Can I proceed?
Yeah, we'll take a deep breath. Okay.
Yeah.
Just so the lag, people have a second to pause or whatever.
Yeah, just to give y'all a second, because it's a disturbing concept. I'm not going to go into detail or anything, but basically, I don't remember what it's called, but somebody released a game on Steam where you basically are a Black father in a car and you get pulled over by police. And then there's different choices you make. You heard about this?
I remember seeing the ad and being like,
yeah. Whoa. It wasn't created by anyone Black, fun fact.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we need BIPOC people to be making games about BIPOC people. We need trans people to be making games about trans people. For serious.
Please.
And we need the voice actors to be those identities. Like the fact that August Black voiced the trans character in Tell Me Why, who's the main character, whose name I'm forgetting right this second, is like, you can tell. Listening, you can tell. You can hear the trans voice. It's the first AAA studio that's made a game with a trans playable character and voiced by a trans person. Anyway.
Like the first. It's 2021.
Yes.
2020 never ended. Seriously.
It's all running together now.
But it's incredible. It's cool, but there's also kind of, like we keep mentioning, a bittersweetness to it because it's so rare that it's emotional. The response to it is very emotional because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing myself in a game. I'm seeing my story told.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it.
Yeah. People are saying 2020 part 2.
The sequels.
No, sequels are worst.
The sequels are always worse. Please, no more. just it's fine. It does feel like a blur, though. It's terrible.
2020 Electric Boogaloo. The chat is turning up right now. I love you all so much.
I am now referring to this year as 2020 Electric Boogaloo. Any like formal like thing I ever write where I have to put the year, that is going there. Oh my gosh.
In this year of our not Lord, of our monarch, 2020 Electric Boogaloo. This is the part of the show where we just laugh for like a couple minutes. It's so funny.
I love that so much.
It's gonna sound really weird on the podcast later because the program's gonna cut out all the silences and it's just gonna be like clipped together laughter.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Oh,
You're like, what's going on?
You know, the weirdness you get there, we make up for with, oh my goodness, all the speed, all of the extra nonsense is cut out. Okay. All right. So question from the chat. Hawkward asks, have you ever played Detroit Become Human? And as a BIPOC person, how did you feel about the whole android slavery parallels in regards to, like, it's obviously being racial inequality reference, but never really acknowledging that?
I will say, when it comes to a lot of more current games, just kind of as a disclaimer, because of time and money, I have not experienced a whole lot until like very, very, very recently. Detroit Becoming Human was on my list, and I did hear a lot about the comparison to slavery. It's just interesting that, and this is from the standpoint of somebody who hasn't played it, I will say, but it's interesting that we're telling this story about something we know happened to a specific group of people, but to make you care about it, we're saying it's androids and they can look like anyone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well,
does that make sense?
If anyone wants to buy Calamity Darling video games, there's your Ko-Fi, and people can throw you money.
I do love video games.
You also have like cool other stuff on your Ko-Fi, like.
Oh yeah.
Don't you take you do like consulting calls? Like if people want to consult with you on things, they can like pay you a certified actual Black person to tell them about stuff?
Yes. More specifically, recently, I've been doing a lot more of that for charity and like event planning. I've been doing consultations for those, and it's been honestly really, really cool to watch people go from, I have no idea what I'm doing, to doing these incredible, incredible events that are just so well thought out and personable and gain traction because people actually see the worth of why they're putting money into this charity. Anyway, but I am trying to think of ways to expand it into more. Right now, granted, I am extremely busy, but if you have a request, I would be open to hearing it and discussing that with you. So yeah, but currently I've done more like charity and events planning with people.
Awesome. You know, I saw your Ko-Fi a while ago and I was like, that's a brilliant idea. And then that's the thing that kicked my butt enough to like get all my stuff on Ko-Fi.
Nice.
So now I've got like my full list of bot commands, how to set up closed captions, like, you know, and other information, like my full guides on moderator teams and setting up for tabletop stream production manual stuff. Just because like people kept asking me, how do you do this? How do you do this? And I'm like, I wrote it all down. I spent lots of hours on that. If you want, you can give me money for it. Whee.
Yeah, you can either do your own research or give me the money to just read what I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Like either you're putting in your own hours, or you're paying me for mine.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's great. There it is.
And that's fair. That's extremely fair.
Yeah. Well, and I had a whole thing with like, how do I price this? And I don't know, and the stuff and the things. And I don't know. But I think about how many hours I put into it, and like, I'm just like, yeah, that's what that amount of research is worth, I think.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, I've been doing this for a year. It's taken a lot of time and energy. And, you know, we got to have our side hustles. Got to have multiple streams of income in this sort of business that we're in.
In this economy, especially.
So speaking of jobs, how does one get into gaming as a game designer or game maker?
So when it comes to game making, I guess the first thing I'll say is, no, it's not too late. I don't care who you are. No, it's not too late. Aging myself, I just turned 30 and I am just now getting into games.
Yay.
So it is not too late. You can do it. Even if you are in a different career path and it's something you've always wanted to do, you don't think you'll ever be able to get to it. Especially if you are in marginalized identity or of marginalized identities, there are resources out there. There's so many incredible resources out there. I know that they're not mainstream, but there are people out there doing the work to try to put more representation in gaming. I mentioned Code Coven, which is more specific for like game development. If you're looking into like esports and such, like there's queer women of esports, but they are for all marginalized genders. There's just so many different resources out there. There's people who want to help. Thousand Dreams Fund is another example of people who just want to help because they see the lack of representation in gaming and they see the horrible things that just sexism, transphobia, racism are doing in this industry and how prominent and okay they are because there's no consequences. So they are actively working to put people in. Do your research, look it up. If you are interested in getting into programming specifically and you've never learned, Codecademy is an amazing resource to learn programming. That's where I learned. And it's just a great launching point. I would encourage anyone to honestly get a very basic understanding in coding. Mm-hmm. Just very basic. You don't have to be some Unity expert. Just get a very basic understanding. Unity, you can use for free to a certain point, but that's like if you make a certain amount of money, you don't have to pay for it. That's another good resource. There's so many ways to look up stuff online. I know that time is a privilege. Not everyone has the time to put into doing this stuff, but preparation does meet opportunity. So whatever work you can do incrementally does matter. So honestly, just do it. Look into those resources. Look to the people trying to help. You can ask me. I'll connect you to some resources and people like the ones I mentioned, Code Coven, Queer Women in Esports, if you're looking more for like actual esports and like casting and such. But yeah. It's hard, unfortunately, because it's all about who you know. So we need more people in this industry who are putting in the good work and making sure that this industry represents its audience, which is everyone.
Yeah. I love that. I actually just went and sent a DM to my friend who's hoping to get more deeply into game design so that they might swing by. I think they do not use they them pronouns, but I'm using that to be vague in case they don't want me to out them. So
that is fair.
So we have a question from Phaedrux, uses he him pronouns.
Phaedrux.
Who posted in the Discord AMA channel, which is why it took me a minute to see it. And the question is, can you speak to the hypersexualization that seems to be the norm in gaming? I feel a lot of tension trying to resolve enjoying a lot of titles while they lean so heavily on objectification of bodies. I agree with that.
Can you post that question? Actually,
yes.
Let me just pull it up
it's in the Google Doc. I'll put it here in the Twitch chat as well.
I will say that it's unfortunate. It's and you have to understand too who a lot of games, especially there is a shift, I think, in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, where games were no longer catered towards families, but they were catered towards young boys and men. That shift has unfortunately caused this just boost of hypersexualization in games. If you look at like video game ads, like I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but there is a ad for I think Nintendo where it's a boy and a girl at prom, and she's like leaning on him like this, and he has like his Game Boy behind her back. So like games are supposed to replace women, games are supposed to, so that is where unfortunately this whole idea comes from. So that's why it has become the norm in gaming, because a lot of people now in the industry grew up with that mentality that that is what games are for. You know what I mean? Why would you care about being nice to women in real life, women in femmes, when you can treat a digital woman however you want, no content? You know what I mean? Like it just opens up so many horrible doors. I personally, I feel your tension there. It's frustrating because you're just like, I just want to enjoy the game. I just want to enjoy the plot. But unfortunately, there are a lot of these plot points center around, sexualization, and especially because a lot of them are binary based, having power over women or saving the woman. Like, you know what I mean? It is the norm. It's unfortunate. And that's why people with these different ideals need to get into the industry, because the more of us there are, the louder our voices get.
Yep.
Even if you're not in the industry, support games that are like that. Like I mentioned, Wholesome Games Showcase before. There's so many different, like there's no excuse. There's so many different types of games out there, and so many different things you can do with games without hypersexualizing things, without just making everything sexual. I'm asexual, but I'm also sex positive. There's nothing wrong with it, but the way that it's used in games is toxic.
Yeah.
In many, many cases.
It's true. Yeah.
I forgot to mention that before. I'm gray ace. Awkward.
Yay.
I just realized.
Yay. I'll add it to the list of things in the notes. Yeah. So Hawkward says, in the UK recently, I saw an ad about a disabled boy and a BIPOC girl, if I remember the details correctly, who met in a game and then went on a date in real life. So that was nice.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh,
totally cute.
Games bring people together. They really do. I have made more friends through games than anything.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like being on Twitch and being able to network and make all these friends that I have has really helped me feel connected during this staying home situation we've been in for the last year and change.
Yeah.
Like that's how I met you, and you're so cool.
Yeah, that's how I got started, is because of the whole stay at home. I lost my job and everything, and then I was like, well, I've always wanted to do this, so let's try it out, and here we are.
I love it. I love it so much. So on the topic of dating in games, there are two queer dating sims. Well, yeah, two queer dating sims that are great. One is called Dream Daddy, and you can in the character creation, you can be a cis or a trans man. There's actually that choice. And there is one, to my knowledge, there's one trans man character you can date. So I already told who it was in the chat a little bit, but maybe I'll leave it as a mystery for those of you who are listening later. But there is at least one trans man character, and it's a very brief mention. It's like a mention about a binder or something. But there's totally a trans man character. Okay, so the other one I played on stream one time, and I realized it's a little too R-rated for my community. Because sometimes my kids will stop in the chat and hang out, and they're like 13 and 15, so I try to keep it PG-13 for the 13-year-old. So I probably won't play it on stream again. It's called Monster Prom, and then there's a sequel, I think, Monster Camp.
Yes,
and one of the characters, I mean, you get to choose your pronouns for your characters, but one of the characters, the default pronouns is they them. So Oz, who's the yellow character, is they them pronouns. And you can choose different names, and I think you can also name them Mustard or something. I don't know, but
Mm.
so there's a couple of queer dating sims, which is fun because like I never understood why people were into dating games, and then I was like,
Sorry,
oh wait, now that they're gay, I like them.
right? It's like, oh, this is interesting, actually. Fun fact, I just remembered another one. I'm so sorry. Later Daters.
Later
It's
daters.
a dating sim where you get to play as a character in a retirement facility.
Oh my
It is
gosh.
one of the most beautiful, most hilarious, most heartbreaking, and heartwarming games I've ever played. You get to choose your pronouns. You get to choose the gender or lack thereof of your partner, of your former partner, and you get to choose like the pronouns you choose do not affect the like visual representations of you can choose, if that makes sense. Like you can choose any avatar for any pronoun, so you can do it.
That's so awesome.
It's so good and it's so funny. It is raunchy, I will say. They do not hold back, but it's super cute and just really fun.
I'll add that raunchy.
Raunchy. Content warning, raunchy, but in like the most hilarious way. And there is polyamory representation in it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super cool. So cute.
That's so rad. Oh, we got a pronoun checkpoint in the chat. Please, everybody, share your pronouns in the chat. I cannot type. My R's are on screen though. Okay. Let's see. Can you tell us a bit more about your stream team, Awesome Warriors?
Yes. So it's a stream team I'm part of and kind of helping out with. So it's made by Desmas Viso, who is sorry, I want to look it up real quick. I don't want to misidentify them.
It's all good.
Because oh my gosh. I know they exist. Don't lie to me. Des doesn't actually exist. Oh, their pronouns aren't listed. Recently came out on Twitter as trans, but a big like World of Warcraft MMO player who is autistic and created Awesome Warriors, which is a group of autistic content creators who just come together and understand each other. It's a very new group in development currently, but just the amount of constant validation and understanding that comes from that group, and like even to the point of Des will be like, hey, did not have the spoons to do this week, did not have the spoons to do. And we're like, yes. We totally get it. And that there's nothing quite like that. So like I said, they're a budding group, but very interested in opportunities, in talks, in playing games with people. There might be something I'm working on this month that I can't quite talk about because I haven't ironed out the details, but it will be having a lot of conversations with autistic people and talking about games and stuff from their standpoint and making friends because that's hard. So they are AUSOME Warriors. Budding group of autistic streamers and content creators who just want to be included, just want to be included and have more of an understanding out there so that we're not ostracized for our differences. We're not called weird and not included, that people understand our neurodivergencies and we are allowed into these spaces anyway, even if we aren't the most eloquent or perhaps some are nonverbal. Like it's everyone, we just need representation. Okay, sorry. Words.
I agree with you.
Got frustrated.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. So something we talked about before stream went live is how I need coffee to make my brain go.
Oh yes.
Because ADHD and the slow in the brain and the I don't have meds yet because of the gatekeeping that we already talked about. So yeah, I get it. I get the brain not doing the words.
The brain don't words.
You know, sometimes for me at least, when I'm around other autistic people, there's just a joy in just like being together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't even have to say things.
It's like, you get it.
Yeah. It's just like, just the grin and the face hurting. It just happens.
It does. My cheeks definitely are hurting, but it's all good. I'm happy about it.
It's a good hurt. It's a good pain.
It's a good hurt.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Can you share a moment of gender euphoria with us?
So one of the things that, and I don't even know if this is technically gender euphoria. You have to understand, exploring my gender is very new to me, so forgive me.
Yeah.
But recently, in trying to explore my gender, I was really sort of confused because I was like, okay, it's not binary. I can tell you that, but I don't know how to get it out and explain exactly how it is that I'm feeling, or how I, as I started to explore my gender. And I was talking with one of my friends, one of my mods actually, Rena, and I just had this moment of, oh, wait, I figured it out. And I explained to her, like, okay, so it's not so much that I am like female and that I'm becoming like there was like this mental shift that happened. And when it happened, when I just realized that I have always been non-binary, just something in my, I guess, upbringing and like how society raised me just sort of went away, and it made everything like so much clearer. I don't know if that makes sense. But I got so happy finally having the words to describe exactly how I was feeling. And then for her to go, yeah, makes sense. I was just like, okay, cool. So it's like, I don't feel any gender, but I like to present and be more feminine, and I still am figuring it out. But
the phrase demi girl?
That is the one that I'm thinking is me. I'm thinking demi girl is probably the one I identify with the most so far.
Complete non sequitur, because ADHD. Do we have the same headphones?
We do.
Oh
I noticed
gosh.
that earlier. I did notice because you looked to the side and I was like, I know those.
Do you have a gay microphone too?
I do not.
It's so nice.
It's so nice. I love that microphone so much. I got a Blue Yeti before, and I just can't justify getting the gay microphone purely to have microphone.
You know, I gave my other mic to my wife so I could get the gay one. So if your partner needs a nice microphone, then there you
have
go.
Been looking into podcasting.
Gay
I have to say, hey, you want this microphone, right? You can use it. Because I would love that microphone so much. Every time I see a picture of it, I'm just so beautiful, so gay.
Yeah. You know, I got just the red one, and then like 2 months later the gay one came out. I was like, no. I would have got the gay one if I knew it was an option. Anyway.
Take it back, please.
Exactly. Totally.
Give me the gay one.
I want the gay one. Oh, that's so awesome. So my favorite sort of ongoing gender euphoria moment is every time I turn on Zoom, I forget that I have the beard filter turned on, and then I have a beard and I grin. And it makes me super happy. It's so good.
I love that for you.
I do the
it looks so good.
Too. The little claps are my favorite claps. It's like, that I don't want to be too loud, but oh my gosh, the thing.
Yeah, it's become my masc stem. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
It's going like this.
Yeah.
The more dramatic it gets, the closer to unmasking I go.
I also noticed we both do a lot of like the little sway.
Yes, the little
It's so
sway. Yeah, I'll like
It's
do this. I
I
hold
always
on
do
to my
that.
desk and rock, but then it makes my camera
Nice.
shake. So I try
Yeah.
not to do that.
What if you hold onto your chair and rocked? It's not sturdy enough.
It's
I
like
hold.
there's nowhere to put my hands.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I can
yours
put them
doesn't have
down here.
yours doesn't have arms.
Uh, like it has arms, but they're like here. So it's like
Yeah,
it doesn't
I'm not
like if they
grabbing
were
the top
back
of the
like a little
arms. I'm
more.
grabbing the like the side of the arms.
It's like here. Oh, then it hits my desk anyway. Dang it. Dang it, chair.
No.
You're not good for stimming. I need a new chair.
Stimmy chairs.
Yeah, I usually play with my dice, honestly, if
Oh,
I
rad.
feel like stimming.
So okay, let's talk about tabletop for a minute. Tabletop games are a great way to explore gender.
I actually little Calamity did not think she was gay at all. um, there was a non-binary character I made in a tabletop like demo that I did a few years ago, and the way that I was so into this character and creating them was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting when you look back and see the little moments where you're like, you really thought you were straight. That's cute. That's cute.
So there's a post that was floating around in the gender and sexuality channel that was like me to my like queer friends. And this isn't me, this is the person. They're like, I'm transmasculine, non-binary, biromantic, gray, ace, blah blah, more words go here, whatever. And then to like cishet people, I'm gay. Like it's just like gay is the catch-all.
Yes.
But really it's like it's all this expansive other over here stuff, but like cishet folks are not ready for that. It's too much information for their brains. It's just I'm gay.
It's a lot of information. Watching my cishet partner kind of digest everything as I discover myself, honestly, I will say has been wonderful and everything. But just not being part of the community and hearing everything kind of secondhand from me and have to go, wait, explain this again. It's very interesting, but I'm happy that he does want to learn, and no, that makes me happy.
Hawkward made a pun. Is it a lot of information or is it a lot of transformation?
Oh.
To which you get the puns command. Good job.
Puns, yes. I heard you had a puns command and I was like, I need to make good puns, but I can't on the spot. It's so hard.
It's okay. No pressure. Part of my channel trailer, I talk about how in tabletop games I tend to be more interested in puns instead of the plot. And maybe it's just because like ADHD and I can't focus on the whole story. Like I just can't hold the whole thing in my head, and so I just look for those little moments to just like, I'm gonna do a funny because that's all I have the bandwidth for today. Maybe that'll change one day, but today that's how my brain works.
Interesting. Yeah, that's about that. Yeah, now that you mention it, because I'm pretty new to tabletop. It's something that I'm just now getting into more actively. Time permitting. I just want to play tabletop all the time, dang it. But I as somebody who is ADD, and the DM will be talking about something and then I'll think about something else and be like, crap, I just missed everything the DM said. So I will insert character quirk here. I promise I was paying attention.
It's like a stalling technique.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to do the character bit while I replay all the things you just said in my head to see if I can put it together and figure it out. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. You know, part of the reason I've stopped simultaneously GMing and producing all on the same stream is because it was too much for my brain. I was so tired all the time trying to do that. It was like burning the candle at both ends and in the middle all at once. It was too many spoons.
Just break the candle in half. Help. I can't.
Yeah,
too many spoons. Yes.
Yeah. So we've actually moved for my stuff. We've actually moved all of our tabletop production stuff over to the Knights of the Bantam. So just put their info in the chat. They're so
Knights
cool.
of the Bantam are so
and
cool.
The Knights are part of how I met you, actually. I think.
Yes.
Also,
I think
Timbo.
so. Yeah.
It's probably also Timbo's fault. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Timbo's fault.
What a
Oh,
pal.
you, Timbo.
What a pal.
Timbo's great.
I love it. I love them. Him. Timbo. Yes, blame Timbo for everything, to be honest.
It's always Timbo's fault.
They just did a shout out for Timbo. Have you
Be
checked
watching
out
this
any
and be
of
like,
the...
what?
Who is this person? Timbo the Wizard has a Twitch channel. Recently,
Yeah.
Timbo played Sunless Sea. Please check out Timbo. What a good bean. Oh, hey, reminded you to message him. That's cool. So Knights of the Bantam has a Minecraft server. Have you tried it? Have you ever Minecrafted?
I have played Minecraft, and to play with Knights of the Bantam is on my list. We're working that out actually of when I can jump in and learn some more Minecraft because I'm not very good at it. I'm
so bad at it. I've played it 2 whole times, and I die and lose everything and lose all my levels every time.
Every time. Oh yeah.
I just want to collect cats. That's my new plan. I'm not going to learn the game. I'm not going to learn the crafting. I'm not going to learn the fighting. I'm just going to collect all the animals and build a zoo.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm here for that. I'm so here for that because every time I get into it, I'm like, there's too much to do. I need to focus on one thing, and that thing is get all the animals to love me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
The first cat I got, we followed to hell and back. There's a video of it. It was intense. Mine cats.
Mine cats.
And then
Give me that game.
At one point, someone on the server found a calico and like DM'd me on Discord. Was like, "I found you a cat. I have it on a leash. Come get it." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna stop whatever I'm doing. It's a whole other thing over here, and come get this calico cat, repo cat." Did you hear that?
It's like, hold on, Enderman. I have to go get my cat. I have to go.
I'm so and they keep posting pictures of it in the arcade corner, and I'm like, like they made some sort of aquarium thing where they like found an underwater monument and did some whole thing, and now there's like a massive temple in the middle of the ocean where they built enough stuff that there's just like a hole in the water where the thing is underground. I don't know. It's magic and witchcraft to me. I don't understand, but it's very cool. There's some like snazzy, smart people. Anyways, if y'all want to play on this Minecraft thing, join the Knights of the Bantam Discord server and tell them you're there for the Minecraft, and someone will add you eventually. The time zone is 2 hours ahead of mine, so they might be asleep depending on when you join, but it's good time. There you go.
It's a very good time. Good people.
They're so good. They have what are those things? Axolotls now. It's like the newest update introduced like little axolotl dudes.
Gosh, I love axolotls. They're so heckin' cute and creepy looking. I love them.
And creepy. It's true. It's true.
I love them. Their wide faces. Oh.
My cat just woke up from her nap.
Oh.
Okay. This is so fun. Also, I feel like I don't know. We should focus or something. I don't know.
Focus. Focus where?
What is focus?
I don't understand.
Oh, nice. Can confirm that they look adorable in game, and you have 4 in an aquarium in game. Nice.
Oh,
nice. That's
Axolotl Farm.
Yeah. Yeah, I should probably just play creative so I can learn the game that way and not have the fighting. But yeah, I just haven't gotten there. It's okay. What would you like to make sure folks know about your perspective, Calamity Darling, on gender and non-binary or trans issues? And I will add, like, BIPOC issues or autistic issues or whatever else, A-spec issues, gray ace, all things. Did we miss anything?
More representation all across the board. I will also say that, look at the question again.
Here, I'll highlight it for you.
One thing that I have learned when it comes to talking to a lot of people in games, and who play games, is some people say there needs to be more like queer joy, Black joy, you know, joy in that sense where the whole story does not revolve around that. And some people say that these stories need to be told. We need to have these conversations. People need to be able to play them to immerse themselves. I think both opinions are correct. I think there needs to be a balance. So that is one thing that I will say that I have thought about a lot. And I think that you can have a niche in that too, whether in what you play or what you experience, because I only have so many spoons to deal with more emotional things. Like there's a reason I haven't played Tell Me Why yet, and it's because I don't think I have the space to play it right now.
It's intense.
I want to.
I played it once, and one time was enough for me, even though I didn't 100% it. And I'm like, I missed something, but it's intense. Like it's well done, but it's also very intense for sure.
Yeah. I personally, I think both are important when it comes to me and what I want to do. I want to create more games that these issues are not ignored, but they're not the only part of our story. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, sure, I'm Black. Sure, that's going to change how I'm perceived in the world and how people treat me, depending on their different biases and such. But that's not my whole story. Yeah. You know, sure, a character is trans, but that is a fact. It's not their entire story. It's an important part of their story, but it's not the only thing that defines them. Yeah. And I guess when it comes to my perspective on gender and then race in games and stuff is just more diversity in the stories being told about us across the board, because all of it's important.
It is. It totally is. You know, it just dropped right out of my head. My goodness.
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, yeah, I remembered. Okay, so I was thinking about how there's games where like character creation is just choose anything, but then the gameplay is all the exact same. And then there's games that are like super hyper focused on the trauma. And I wonder if there's an in between where it's like when you choose a trans character, like something about that comes up, but it's not the point of the whole story. Like maybe you get like the buy a binder side quest or something, or you get the get on HRT side quest. And if you're playing a cishet character, you don't get that side quest.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and like maybe there's the like if you get like gay married, there's the adoption side quest instead of the have a baby with your body's side quest or whatever. I mean, you should have adoption even for cis people in sim games, but that's a whole other thing. So yeah, I wonder about like where choosing queer characters and BIPOC characters and other forms of diverse characters, you know, having pieces of story that are specifically relevant to that or those identities. But again, it's not the whole thing is about it. I think that'd be interesting.
That's the balance that I would love to find, because I would love to make this epic fantasy game that is inclusive and, you know, your identity does define the things you experience in the world, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you're this awesome character who can do cool things. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's only part of your story. And sure, it unlocks different things and different interactions, sort of like Dragon Age, how the race you choose unlocks different dialogue and such. Kind of like that. But it's not the full story. Sure, it affects some things people say to you, the way people perceive you in some cases, but you're still on this amazing quest, you know, and I would love to find that balance for the things that I create. Yeah.
I have a friend who on the internet is known as That's Barnaby, who is a Black non-binary content creator, artist, like does great like drawing, illustration. I don't know the right words because I'm not deep enough into that realm to know the right words, but also GM's tabletop games, and GM extraordinaire, totally mirror me. And there was a home game that we played once with some friends, and the NPCs, like, it was never stated like this person is Black, but the way that they talked and the way that they had culture and family and relationship very much felt like it was like a colony of Black folks in the desert doing a thing. And I loved having like NPCs who were just that were just that sort of culture and flavor, and just very different from when a white GM runs a game. And all the NPCs are named Fred or George or whatever, like white people names. Like, I don't know. It was just, it's cool. It was cool.
Yeah,
and like,
no, I definitely get you.
I love when, I don't know. I love when people of color, when trans people, etc., get put in charge of writing the stories and saying, this is what we're doing. It needs to happen more often.
For sure. For sure. That's why my end goal is kind of creative director, because I want to create those teams. I want the people creating these games to have different backgrounds and perspectives that cishet white people won't. That's kind of like an end goal thing. That's one day. But that is why I would love to eventually be in a role where I get to choose the teams and seek out the people who are going to be working on these diverse games. Because it's not going to be like, okay, cool, I'm in this position, let me just hire a bunch of white cis people and tell them to make a diverse game. Like, these people need to be in the industry too. So,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. All right. So, all of that said, can you share with us any resources you would recommend for non-binary and trans individuals or allies and allies of other diverse identities as well? I'm going to copy paste the things you wrote in our awesome document into the chat here for folks.
I forgot about like one of the most important ones. I'm a horrible person.
You're not horrible. You've just been working on the list for a while. And so now,
yeah, now of course I'm thinking of everything. So definitely look into Queer Woman of Esports if you are more interested in like being a player and like casting and such, and being in the industry more in that sense, not so much game making. They have a bunch of incredible things that they are trying to do. They recently started a mentorship program that I'm a part of, actually, where they will find you like queer and diverse people in the industry to connect with, to talk to help you, find your path and such. So that is one thing that they do have. Plus they have a Twitch, and but you can go to their Twitter and just find all of their information there. It links back to everything. Code Coven, which I've mentioned multiple times, I absolutely love them. I am so honored to be able to participate in their summer program. I'm so honored to have been given a seat in their spring program. The fact that they look at me and, believe in the things that me as like a queer Black womanish, I'm figuring that out. These terms are so weird to say now. But, queer Black femme.
I like that. Queer Black femme. That's great.
Queer Black femme, I'll say that, in this space. And when you look at the industry from a general perspective, you don't see yourself represented, so you think it's impossible for you to get in. So for them to look at you and say, we're going to help you get there, is beautiful. Check out Code Coven. They do all sorts of incredible things. They are growing, like they're already doing so many amazing things. And the fact that they are fairly new-ish, I'm so excited to see what they continue to do in the programs they develop in the future for people. There's also Gamer X, which is for marginalized identities in gaming, more from like the gamer standpoint. Thousand Dreams Fund is for women, femmes, and non-binary people in esports gaming broadcasting. You've probably heard of them doing fundraisers. They're doing one right now, actually. But they give scholarships to people in content creation, broadcasting, esports, gaming, to these marginalized genders to help them grow, because they do see a deficit in the representation and they want to help fix that. So follow them, help them spread the word about what they do. They have so many different programs. So there's probably something out there that fits a lot of you. Just saying. Then if you want to learn more about coding, Codecademy is a good place to start. They actually came out during Pride Month with a course on LGBT representation in tech.
That's
which is
rad.
very cool. I think it's still up. I haven't checked. I hope they keep it up. That would be really just annoying if they took it down after Pride. So I think they kept it up. Brown Girl Gamer Code is another organization I'm part of. I'm actually their fundraising and charity lead, but they are a group of Black and brown femmes who advocate for equity in the gaming and tech spaces. They are absolutely wonderful. I do not know how I would have gotten through the last year without that group. I have made so many friends who are closer to me than people I've known for years in that group. So definitely follow them if you are interested in joining. Make sure you follow so you know when applications come out, because they do come out periodically, and they're really intent about vetting people and making sure that there's good representation in the group. The team is full of Black women, but they do not only accept Black women, and they want to make that very clear. So they are trying to get that message out, because I think a lot of people see the Black women, in those positions, and they might think, oh, I'm not welcome. It's for brown and Black non-men. So you are more than welcome to join that. Awesome Warriors is for autistic content creators.
Non-cis men?
Non-cis men.
What about trans men?
Sorry. I don't know. But you do have to be Black or brown.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not, but I was, gender wonderful beings.
I don't know. I don't know, but that is a question I'm sure you can reach out and ask them for sure. Cool. They're very responsive and honestly just such an incredible group of people. Awesome Warriors, I mentioned earlier, an autistic group of content creators, broadcasters. Yeah, those are resources.
And mundane magic.
Oh, right. That's my team for Code Coven. If you want to follow us and the progress that we're making on the game we're developing, it is a queer, eerie narrative game. Not creepy, not gory, nothing like that. So it's just kind of something feels off about the game. But it's also very cute too. So that is something we're working on. If you'd like to follow their progress, we actually released a poll today to help see kind of opinions on different art styles that we're looking into. So if you want to check that out, vote on that poll. It's open for a few hours. But yeah, I think that's all the stuff I got to plug. It's a lot.
That's awesome. Well, and I've done my best to take excellent notes.
You have done amazing. Thank you. With this galaxy brain, I appreciate you.
Well, as a final reminder to our friends, you can support Calamity Darling on Ko-Fi, on Twitch, and on Twitter, and I've just plunked those links in the chat, and they'll be in the show notes. You are so awesome and worth supporting, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
So great.